Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. Today we'll be jumping onto a speculation video. We haven't done these for a while, but there's something which has recently popped up and I think that this is quite a valid topic. Is Josef Bugman the next White Dwarf Legendary Lord for Total War Warhammer? So, as it stands, we've received a White Dwarf Legendary Lord for Total War Warhammer 1 and Total War Warhammer 2. By that logic, we can also expect a third and final Lord added in during the Total War Warhammer 3 lifecycle. There's been a lot of speculation as to who would be the next Lord for the White Dwarf cycles. The general consensus seems to focus around Gracia Fancl, the Gracia with the most luck, considering that he is able to accidentally summon in Bloodthirsters and still manage to survive, or be the topic of many books, mostly as the antagonist, and once again somehow still manages to survive, despite the fact that he is a Skaven and they're pretty much known for dying. The next character is that of Voltan, the Herald of Sigmar, a rather popular character mainly because he was given a lot of plot armor, where Games Workshop established him to be quite the powerhouse, and given a multitude of different models to be used throughout your campaign. It makes sense for these characters to be added in through some large promotion. However, let's look at both of them directly. First, Gracia Fancl. Yes, a big name in Skaven kind, a very popular fan favourite. There are a lot of posts about him, especially on the Total War forums or Total War Reddit. And believe me, I know why. I still currently play Warhammer Fantasy Tabletop, and I know he's a very popular character to bring, in both vanilla or in the end times. And his lore was always rather interesting in the novels, comedic but still Skaven-y. Now, why do I believe it's unlikely that Fancl will be a White Dwarf exclusive? The character is indeed very well known, and it can be guaranteed that should he be the White Dwarf exclusive, those copies of White Dwarf magazine would fly off the shelves. But the White Dwarf characters always come by themselves, no new units. And we do have a lot of missing Skaven units. However, I know that the majority of them belong to Clan Moulder, and it's very likely that eventually we will see a Clan Moulder DLC. It makes sense considering that we have almost all the major Skaven clans already playable in Total War Warhammer. But even then, that would not bring everything that's missing. So far for the Skaven, we are missing End Times units. These are units implemented in 8.5 edition of Warhammer Fantasy Battles. This was when the world was coming to an end, where the Skaven received a few but very powerful units in the form of Stormfiends and new characters in the form of Vermin Lords. Yeah, Vermin Lords already existed, but these were just supercharged versions, much more updated in terms of look, and, well, they were quite powerful. I know many people aren't too keen on the end times themselves. It makes sense, there's a bit of a sore subject there. However, it makes sense for Fancl to be added in through a cross-game DLC. He's a big name and he'll sell directly. There's no need for a magazine, especially if he's missing units. This would probably be the only way to add in any of these end time units in the third and final game, considering that the Vermin Lords themselves are considered demons. And when should we see demons being implemented? Well, Warhammer 3, which is when we can expect the Demons of Chaos. It could easily be thought out where you could see a cross-game DLC between the Skaven and the Demons of Chaos. Fancl versus a demon that he himself has summoned before, Skarbrand the Bloodthirster. Their rivalry has potential to be included as a cross-game DLC, with the plot revolving around, say for example, Fancl accidentally summoning Skarbrand, Skarbrand wanting to kill Fancl, and Fancl wanting to banish Skarbrand before he gets slaughtered. I know some of you may disagree with the concept, but it makes sense to me, considering the fact that Total War Warhammer 3 makes the most sense to me to be full of cross-game DLC. There is an incredibly massive potential in regards to this, and I'll explain why in a future video. but let's move on to Voltan, the Herald of Sigmar. So this character was rather interesting, the personification of Sigmar reborn, or at least that's what they'd have you think. Now, the reason why so many people couldn't really get into this character was simply because he was introduced to be a Mary Sue. The plot armor was strong here, and it just looked like he couldn't fail until eventually he did, but it is the case of the fact that he always had an up in terms of lore, and people just couldn't really associate with that character. If the third and final game of the series does focus around a end times route, which could be likely considering the many hints in Total War Warhammer 2, it's still very possible to see this character eventually added in. It doesn't make sense for Voltan to be a main character for a DLC, or I could be proven otherwise, but I see him more as an FLC character. He doesn't really have any basic units tied to him, and it makes more sense for any new units to be added alongside, say for example, Boris Todbringer or Marius Leitdorf. So honestly, the way I see it, Voltan should be an FLC character, but not a White Dwarf FLC. Something like that is a character which should be popular enough with the fans. So who would be the third and final choice, or at least just limiting it to 3 choices? A popular character which could be the next White Dwarf exclusive could be Josef Bugman. Josef is the most legendary brewmaster of all time, and a popular fan favourite. His lore is rather brief, and we will cover it eventually in its own video, but Josef is a character which has always been quite historic in Warhammer history, with Games Workshop's very own Warhammer Worlds bar known as Bugman's. The character has always been cemented in Warhammer history, and now they've also brought in one of his descendants into Age of Sigmar. It's very clear that Games Workshop would rather this character not be forgotten, and what would be the best way to show this character off once more? Well, a White Dwarf exclusive, especially since the recent announcement and eventual release of Bugman's descendant as an Age of Sigmar model has had people who were not aware of him scour the internet in an effort to find out who Josef Bugman was and why he was so important. It can also be argued that the last 2 White Dwarf exclusives were dwarfs. We had the White Dwarf himself, Grombrindal, for the first one, and for the second we had Gotrek. Yes, along with Gotrek also came Felix, but they're a bit of a package. They kinda need to be together at all times. It would make sense for what would be the potentially third and final White Dwarf exclusive to also be another dwarf, where they could even take his lore into account, where for example we could see Josef Bugman being a dwarf horde character. Yes, I know people don't like the horde implementation, but bear in mind that we would probably see a change to the horde system in Warhammer 3. As in the lore, Josef Bugman's only home, that of his brewery, was destroyed, and he's been on a bit of a crusade to make sure to exterminate the greenskins from this world. He wouldn't be staying in one place for long, and it's not like say Belegar for example, who doesn't have a hold but technically does, and he's trying to reclaim it. Bugman's just out there to do damage, and well, he doesn't need a hold, he just needs good warriors and good drink. Honestly, I think that Bugman would be the best candidate for the next White Dwarf exclusive, but what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion. It is kinda nice to do these speculation videos once again, and more than likely I'll try to implement them into the usual content on a regular basis. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince and Okro for subscribing to us at our fame level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our king level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.